Our next subject, we're going to talk about health and avoidance of disease. So what is the public's viewpoint or definition of health? Well, the public, the way they really believe, is that if you're tan, thin, muscular, white teeth, glowing skin, you must be healthy. The list is endless of what they believe is considered healthy. And everyone has a certain perspective. If you look good, you must be healthy. But let's look at positive versus negative health. Positive health is associated with a capacity to enjoy life and withstand any of the challenges. If you remember back to the hexagon and all those 6 categories of health, if we have a balance on all of those, then we have a capacity to enjoy life no matter what is thrown at us, and we can conquer any challenge that's thrown at us. But if we look at negative health, it's associated with morbidity or the incident of disease and premature mortality, which is death. Optimal health is one's ability to strive, grow, and develop even though they may not achieve perfect positive health. Not everybody's going to have a capacity to do this, but if we can handle the rigors of life or the negatives that are thrown at us and be able to deal with that, we're going to have optimal health. So let's look at the factors affecting health and disease. The 5 leading causes of death in the United States in 2007 and 1 is cardiovascular disease, which is the highest, 31%. Then we have cancer, which is 23%. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, 5.3%. Accidents, 5.1%. And then Alzheimer's disease is 3.1%. But let's look at the actual causes of death. Smoking is the highest cause of death in the United States. If we look at this, even though we have proven time and time again that cigarette smoke has 400 known carcinogens in it, people still continue to smoke. Another big one is poor diet and physical inactivity. Now let's face it, you work all day. If you remember all those categories of health, those 6 categories, people spend a lot of time in education to have the great job. But if you spend all your time at your job, you get really tired, you don't have much of a social life, it starts to affect you psychologically, spiritually, you start thinking some weird things in it. But it also affects if you don't have enough time to eat right during the day and have physical activity, it's going to increase your cause of death and increase your morbidity rate as well too. Because also with that, and also you have a higher increase in alcohol consumption as well. So you can see how they all go together. These 3, things that people preach about all the time about what not to do. Increase more of this, physical activity, eat better, don't smoke, don't, consume mass quantities of alcohol. But it just follows that delaying death involves refraining from tobacco exposure and improving diet and activity habits. Pretty cut and dry, pretty simple, but yet, there's a lot of reasons why people don't do this. And we need to take a good look at why people are refraining from doing this. So the 3 categories of major risk factors. 1 is inherited biological. Well, you can't change, you're going to get older. You can't change that. You can't change your gender, can't change your race, and all of these will add to your susceptibility to disease. So they go hand in hand. But what about your environment? What is the environment you're surrounded in? From a physical environment, air, water, noise, unsafe freeways or highways. You can do a lot about that to decrease your risk of getting disease and all that. Socio-economical, we want to have a higher income because higher income, for most people, what they believe, allows them to have better housing, better employment, better social status, and a better education. The lower incomes can cause so much stress and not being able to eat and poor housing, because this can add to physical and psychological distress. Now, family, if we get divorced, the death of a loved one can absolutely devastate us to the point where, we're so psychologically devastated, that it affects our physical health as well, and our children leaving as well too. When you've raised this child all your life, and all of a sudden they leave and go off to college, which is a natural form of life, but it can devastate people, and even the environment can affect our physical health. Then we have the behavioral, as we talked about before: smoking, inactivity, and poor nutrition. drinking lots of alcohol. Just, they say moderation, but you have to really watch your consumption of it. Overuse of medication. In a society where everybody wants the magic pill to cure something, we're still devastated by this. Fast driving, no seatbelt. Believe it or not, people still don't wear their seatbelts, and no matter what, they're in it. Everybody's always in a hurry to drive faster to get from point A to point B as fast as they can. And pressure to succeed. This is almost instilled in certain parts of society where they're pressed to succeed even at a small age, like 3 and 4 years old, to win and be the best you can and beat the other guy and get into the proper school, all that. That can have a substantial amount of stress on a person. So let's look at the health effects versus physical activity and all that. Health benefits, of a healthy lifestyle and all that. Look what it does. Lowers the risk of heart disease, so does physical activity. Reduces cancer, blood lipid profiles, improves lipid profile, prevents obesity, prevents diabetes, healthy bones, enhanced immune system. Stress release, we still don't know if it does or not, but increased functional health. The two go hand in hand. Now, physical activity and health. What's the impact of regular physical activity on health? Well, improved cardiovascular health, improved metabolic health. Everything works better and more efficiently. Improved muscular health. If we're strong enough to be able to do things, we'll be able to, with undue fatigue, be able to perform the activities of daily living. Reduction in certain types of cancer. Improved mental health. Like I said, those 6 categories of fitness, physical is one, which will affect our psychological, especially if everything else is balanced as well. And improved functional ability and overall reduction in falls. Especially this is an elderly too. They used to tell us that once you get past like 55, just slow down a little bit. What we've learned from in this field is, you can't just stop all of a sudden and just take it easy. You can take it easy, but you still need to be physically active to be strong enough to do those things that you always wanted to do, but now you can retire, now you can do them. So you got to really watch that. Okay, what are the subcategories of physical activity? Self-care or daily tasks. What do you need to do day to day, just to make it through the day, or what is required, your daily chores? Your occupational leisure time activity, or occupational or leisure time activity. That will affect overall health and wellness as well. Your recreational activities, structured activity or exercise. Remember, exercise is planned physical activity or some kind of competitive sport. These are subcategories of physical activity. A dose response of physical activity related to all-cause mortality. As we can see, relative risk of all-cause mortality, as we increase moderate to vigorous leisure time activity, we can see a decrease in mortality rates, which goes hand in hand with what we just said before. Now, guidelines emphasize fitness in order to improve health. In 72, you were supposed to do exercises beginning at 75% of heart rate max, 3 days a week, 15 to 20 minutes. That was in 72. In 73, the YMCA came out with, you had to work out at 80% of your VO2 max 3 days a week for 40 to 45 minutes. So you can see it was increasing time. The ACSM in 75, the intensity went up to 90 to 70 to 90% of your VO2 max, 3 to 5 days a week, 20 to 45 minutes. So you can see what it was like about 40 years ago. The new inside in 78, greater than or equal to 2,000 calories expended through long-term physical activity, regardless of the intensity, whether it was hard or light, yielded a 36% decrease in the risk of developing a heart attack. What they were saying to do, if you expended more than 2,000 calories throughout long-term physical activity, that even doing a little bit was going to decrease your risk of some kind of heart attack or heart disease drastically. The focus of physical activity shifted from higher intensity to health outcomes, volume of activity, frequency, intensity, and duration, and leisure time physical activity. That's what that is. Also, long-term physical activity or leisure time physical activity. Two go hand in hand because I've taught this as well, but we're talking about leisure time physical activities. Possible causal relationships among physical activity, fitness, and health. The original concept, physical activity improved fitness and was linked to improved health. Pretty cut and dry. Then it changed to physical activity improved health and fitness separately by different mechanisms. Lastly, some physical activity programs improved fitness but not health outcomes and vice versa. So you can see where that is. You know, depending on what type of fitness you wanted to do. Did it really improve health? Or if you did health-related fitness versus skill-related fitness, it's going to be different depending on the type of training program you have. And correct planning exercise program can target all categories of fitness, which is what we want to do. We look back at health-related versus skill-related fitness, so you can see the two overlap drastically. If you look at skill-related fitness, if you get more specific just towards some activity and disregard this, then it's going to affect your overall performance and overall health, and vice versa too. Because just because you're trying to get healthy doesn't mean you can do the other categories of fitness as well. They have to be combined together in an overall program. Putting it all together, an activities recommendation for the 90s and 92. Physical inactivity declared a major risk factor by the American Heart Association. This was in 92. It took them that long to figure it out. So for 20 years now, though, now they know that if you don't move, you can really increase your risk of a heart attack. In 95, the ACSM and the CDC, Center for Disease Control, published public health physical activity guidelines for at least 30 minutes of moderate activity 5 days a week. There's that word. They say if you did it, moderately, you could really decrease your risk of morbidity. In 96, the Surgeon General's report backs up the 95 ACSM CDC recommendations, focuses on physical activity for improving public health. What they were trying to do was just get people to move, because there was so much discrepancy between health-related benefits and skill-related benefits and performance of sports and all that versus health-related stuff, that they had to start focusing on getting people physically active just to decrease their risk of health and disease. Now, if you look at the ACSM CDC, 30 minutes, moderate, 5 days a week, the intent was to increase the health benefits. Now, in 2002, the Institute of Medicine, 60 minutes of moderate physical activity daily. So once again, you see how it's been changing all the time. Intent was health benefits and prevention of weight gain. Because we've seen, as we become technologically advanced throughout these years, guess what? People aren't moving as much because things are done for them. In 2002, the International Obesity Task Force said 60 to 90 minutes of moderate physical activity daily, because if you expend calories, watch your diet, guess what? You lose weight. The intent prevented weight gain in those who have already lost a large amount of weight. So once you lose it, you've got to try to maintain that weight loss. And they thought that more was better here, of moderate. 2003, the International Association for the Study of Obesity said 45 to 60 minutes of moderate physical activity daily. Intent, once again, prevents their weight gain. So the two go hand in hand about 10 years ago. How much is enough? Updated 2007, the ACSM guidelines for reducing chronic disease. 30 minutes of moderate intensity 5 days a week, or 20 minutes of vigorous activity 3 days per week. They're starting to find out now that this can offset health benefits, but if you increase the intensity of your exercises, you can actually maintain it with less work and less amounts of it and still maintain that level of health. Or some combination of the two. So doing more than the minimum 60 days of moderate increases the health benefits. So one day you could do vigorous, one day you could do moderate, and you could switch them back and forth there. It's what they call undulating periodization. 2008 physical activity, first set of national guidelines. It means substantial health benefits occur at a physical activity volume of 500 to 1,000 MET minute per week. Remember, a MET is metabolic equivalent. 1 MET is equal to 3.5 milliliters of oxygen used per kilogram of body weight. So if you increased it between these two, you get substantial health benefits. 1 minute of vigorous intensity activity is equal to 2 minutes of moderate. So guess what? You can cut your time in half by increasing the intensity. 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous activity per week. So it's okay to do vigorous activity. They thought before that, it's a risk of injury and all that, but if you've been doing moderate for a while, your body has adapted. Now you can go to this and improve your health benefits a lot, but you have to be careful about how much volume you're doing. The next level, greater reduction in the risk of cardiovascular disease with vigorous versus moderate. So you see the shift there. So if you look at components of health-related fitness, relative leanness, which is body composition, cardiorespiratory fitness, muscular strength, muscular endurance, and flexibility. These are health-related fitness. So if we do vigorous activities, we can change all these and improve them. Moderate versus vigorous. So if you look at this is actually, a chart you can see as you go from active living, light, daily, moderate, 10 minutes, tens of minutes, even hours. So if you're active, you can see the benefits start to increase. But as we increase the intensity, activity for health, we see the benefits go up. Exercise for fitness, moderate to vigorous 3 times a week, at least 20 minutes. Training for sport. As we get more and more intense, and intensity means how hard we're going and the volume of training, we can see the risk and harms start to really go up a lot, but the benefits will start to level off and even decrease if we do too much. So there has to be an optimal training range, volume and intensity for the individual to get the best benefits, optimize your benefits. So there's a trade-off there, because at some point it's going to start to level off, or your benefits are even decrease if you go too much, too soon, too fast. Fitness or fatness. Message is very clear. Being physically active provides substantial health benefits independent of body weight. So you can see, just because a person is big or they might be have a little bit more body fat than what they say, doesn't mean you can't be healthy. You really have to take that into consideration. Primary focus is to get people moving, be physically active. Physical activity increases health benefits first. Body weight issues addressed second. Get them moving. Make your heart stronger. Get more mobile. Increase strength, flexibility, strength, and all strength, endurance, strength. Increase those first, and guess what? You'll start to see this change later on too. Looking good doesn't mean one is healthy, so you must remember that. Completing daily tasks or activities of daily living. Energy and ability, high fitness levels to perform normal movements to do this. If you have the energy and ability or high fitness levels, you can do this during your everyday life. You push things, you pull things, you lift, you carry, you bend, you twist, you squat up and down. These are normal human movements that we do every day. But if you're fit enough and strong enough to be able to do this, these don't, you have no problems doing these. Even under stressful loads, you're still going to be able to do it and recover and not get injured. Need minimum levels of all categories of strength to perform routine tasks. So we have to set some guidelines there, but we need data to set where are the minimum levels required. How about functional fitness? What is the term functional? You see that term thrown around a lot, by doing like twisting balls and all kinds of stuff, pushing stuff overhead. Everything can be functional. All functional means is usable, practical, purposeful, and efficient. So, because somebody can't do one exercise, we might be able to find something else they could do that is functional to them, and start there. Once they become stronger, then we can move to another movement pattern that could be even more beneficial, but they have to start somewhere. Everything could be functional to them. Helping people perform normal human movements. What does that mean? I.e., what makes people perform normal human movements better? Under how much under load, how fast, how slow, how short, long periods, full range of motion, and all conditions. What do they need? What does that mean? Finding what tools work best and go from there, which is what functional means there. What will help people perform normal human movements better? And that's up to you to figure out, because there's so many tools you could use, and you can use the information, use the right tool for the right job for the right person at the right time to improve human movements.